Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. My name's Christy and I'm here in New South Wales, Australia. And today, besides just making a complete mess of my kitchen, I've been trying to get a little bit of cooking and stuff done just before the weekend. So we've made up some pizzas for the freezer. I've cling wrapped them now, so they're all good to go back in. So the family has those. We tried a new recipe for a oatmeal raisin cookie. I'll let you know how that goes. And we've whipped up a banana cake for dessert tonight and also to snack on throughout the weekend. So if you want to join me in the kitchen today, then keep watching. So I'm keen to get some baking done while I have a couple of hours free, but first I think we should deal with these pizzas because they take a little bit of time to sort of flash freeze before you can cling wrap them up. So I've just opened up the can of the Aldi pineapple chunks, but they really are chunky. I usually cut them again into halves or into thirds. Grab out that Lebanese bread. I'm just going to open up the pizza sauce and pretty much just splash it over the top. So I want this to last for all 5. So one bottle should do the 5 sheets in an ideal world. You see I got the phone next to me there. I'm speaking to my mother this entire time. Makes it a little bit difficult when I get up to mixing later, but regardless, we've got a lot of things to sort of sort out at the moment. And so there's a lot going on in the family and things like that. So just spreading the pizza sauce over, getting every last drop out of those things. And then I have a lot of cheese, the pizza cheese that I bought a couple of weeks ago because I had to buy this big bag in Coles. So I want to use that up. So I'm just going to throw that on there first, just a little bit of a sprinkle over. And then I'm just going to go with Hawaiian today because it's mostly my son who eats these and he only eats Hawaiian. So opened up one of those Aldi hams, the shredded hams, and I can usually do all 5 with just one half of that twin pack. Pop the pineapple on top, and then we'll just top it with a little bit more cheese. And then I'm going to find, I don't know what space in the freezer I'm going to find to lay these things out, but that's the plan. And then eventually I go back and cling wrap them when everything's a little bit harder. So all done. I'm glad I bought 2 pizza trays actually in my last Kmart haul. I really should have bought 5 since you get 5 in these things, but we're just going to use anything we can. Okay, here we get onto the banana bread. So the recipe I'm going to be using today is from Simply Too Good to Be True, Book 1. So the first thing I want to do is preheat my oven. I'm pretty sure around 180 degrees for a fan forced. And we're just going to separate 2 egg whites and then add that with 1/3 cup of white sugar and beat those things together. I am still on the phone and it's getting really difficult to hear my mum, so that's why I've got the phone on speaker right up to my ear. So we're done with that. Now we're going to take, let me see, I've got the recipe in front of me here so I can see exactly what the measurements were for you. 3/4 teaspoon of bicarb soda. We're going to combine that with our little jar of baby apple and add that to the mixture. I'm using 3 large bananas, not because the recipe calls for that, but because that's what I've got that's about to go bad. So I think it says a cup of mashed ripe bananas. So also then I'm just going to measure out 30 grams, I think it was, 2 tablespoons, 30 grams of just the margarine. I'm going to melt that into the microwave and add this all into my bowl, then give it a good stir around with a little bit of cinnamon. So I've used 1/2 teaspoon here of the ground cinnamon. And then I'm going to sift in 1.5 cups of the self-raising flour and then just gently fold it in. We don't want to be whipping this thing up. There's not a lot of fat in there, so it gets too tough if you do that. So I've already greased a cake tin and I'm just going to pop that into the oven for around half an hour. I'm still on the phone. You can see that thing lighting up. Goodness me. So I set the timer, and while it's doing that, I have to do a really quick clean and wash up first because I just cannot stand cooking in mess. It has to be tidy as I go. And let's get started. So I have this new recipe, chewy oatmeal raisin cookies. Let me see where I got that from. Okay, so the website where I've grabbed this recipe is called Sweetest Menu, and we've already got the oven going at 180 with the cake in there. So we're just adding in half a cup of brown sugar, a quarter of a cup of caster sugar, and what's meant to be half a cup of unsalted butter at room temperature. I am just using the Aldi brand table spread for this one. We're going to mix that together. Then we're going to add in a large egg and a teaspoon of vanilla. Mix that together. I think at this point that I'm done with the beaters, so I chuck them in the sink, which was a mistake. Then we're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of plain flour, half a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and then I noticed it wants a pinch of salt, so I run into the cupboard to grab that one. Just checking the recipe again as I'm going, realising that I need to beat this with an electric mixer as well, even though I toss my beaters into the sink. I really don't plan ahead, do I? And then we're going to add in our rolled oats and our raisins. So for the rolled oats, I put in 3/4 of a cup initially, but then realised it was meant to be a cup, and 3/4 of a cup was meant to be of the raisins. As I'm mixing this together, I'm starting to question whether or not I actually remembered to put the flour in, because it's really quite runny, quite soft, not what I'm used to at all. So I've lost my other recipe that I usually use. So that's why I went Googling to find something else. Now I managed to get 13 out of these. It says that it'll cook 12. So I did well, I got a bonus cookie. But yeah, these were incredibly soft. Like the cookie dough was incredibly soft. Maybe it had something to do with the butter I used, I'm not sure. So there's our banana cake, it's coming along nicely. There's our cookies all ready to go into the oven. Okay, time to get this cake out. Pop those cookies in. I did not grease this cake tin very well, obviously. Had to do a little bit of a cut around the outside there to get that one out. Or you can see my mince defrosting on the counter. We're having lasagna tonight. There's the cookies. Now they're looking pretty soft to me at this point. I will say they do end up coming out okay and firming up. So I figured that I'll start some icing for the banana cake. And oh, I'm such a grot. Look what I did. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of margarine, a cup of the icing sugar, and if I wasn't so lazy, I would have used real lemon, but I've just grabbed the lemon juice in the bottle to make up an icing. If I'd thought a little bit harder about it, I would have actually saved the pineapple juice and made like a pineapple icing. So the cookies are coming out. It said 10 to 12 minutes on the recipe. I ended up having to do 12. I checked them after 10, but they were still just way too soft. So yeah, I'm just going to taste test one while I ice this banana cake. This is why I've put on so much weight, guys. I seem to like to eat as I cook, which is a bit of a problem. Little bit of cinnamon sugar on top, and that's it for today. So everything's good to go. Thanks for sticking with me today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you like to bake for the weekends in your house. Or do you prefer not to bake and just buy it from the store? Let me know.